Hey there. So, before I get started recording the readings today, I just thought I would do an update on how I think it's going. So, this is regarding the Activate and Reprogram series. And I guess I just wanted to share my thoughts on how it's going and, what the experience has been like. So far, it has caused me to stay really consistent with posting. And in the past, I was more sporadic, more taking the moment when I felt it was appropriate, when I felt like I had something that I was inspired to. And I don't mind being more disciplined about the process, so that's just on a personal level. How I'm experiencing the readings is I think that they're fruitful. I think that sometimes I feel like the reading could go on a lot longer and like I'm being presented with this need to cut it off right where we're at. Because it's like I'm tapped into this energy and it's like a storyline and it's like, a lot of different people's energy mixed in. And sometimes it feels like I could get off on a tangent or go down a certain line of energy or whatever. And as a result, sometimes it feels incomplete at the end of the reading. But I've understood, that everything is limitless and it could be so vast that I could go on forever. And, I still have to have like a life outside doing this. So I've understood that it's just part of it, that I'm not going to be exhaustive in the reading, to cover every aspect of someone's life that they possibly need to look at or work on, right? And not need to, maybe need to is not the right word there, but choose to or want to or could be apprised of. And it's interesting because that does go back to an issue that I found myself having a few years ago where when I was giving readings and I just wanted to impart all my wisdoms into the person. And it was something where I had to realize, okay, listen, like I've been doing this for 12 years, and me listen to my own self, like realizing I've been doing this for a long time and we've got 15 minutes with this person. So like it's unrealistic to think that I would impart all my wisdoms. And like also I found the need to respect where the person was at. If they're just at some certain level or just looking at some certain issue and I start telling them like all this other stuff, it's like going to distract from what they're actually focused on and what they're meant to be focused on. So, I had to get good with that because I guess there was part of me that just was craving for this equality and not to be the teacher but to be the student too. And I was. It was never that I wasn't the teacher and the student too. It was just like I had this vision of learning other stuff. But what I was learning more was about people and how they are and like how they are when they're traumatized and how they are when they're just learning and how they are when they're looking for advice outside of themselves and how they are when they have been on a path for a while and how they are when they're consumed by something difficult they're going through within their family and how they are when they're secretly having insecurities and doubts and how they are when they miss someone that they love so much. It was like that more for me. And like I was all like thinking I want to learn about, stuff I don't know about. But it's like, you know, I I needed to learn this other stuff for the purpose of being someone that is accessible by more people, right? Because when I learn that this is how you are when you're dealing with that, then I might be able to put myself in a more listening space before we give you a reading, because that's what you need. You need to feel seen, and where other people might not need to feel seen. They might just need to really have that poignant piece of advice. When other people, they might need to be apprised of something, and I might need to get it slipped through their ego in a way where it's not going to be rejected by me. So I might need to talk my way into this way and soften this part and make sure that I'm accounting for this, and then give them the piece of information. It's all like that. And so learning about people, and not how they definitely are, but how they tend to be, through the process of doing this has been valuable and has taught me. It just wasn't what I thought I wanted to learn. It wasn't what my mind was thinking. Oh, well, I want it to be like this. I want to be in a class with a spiritualist who knows a lot more than me. And it's just like, well, why not master where I'm at and what I'm doing, since this is what's in front of me. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And maybe that other thing is something, since I desire it, it exists. So maybe that's something that I'll get to. But for the most part in the past, that's what it's been like. And so I have understood that through these readings, the same kind of thing applies. And sometimes that also feels like it falls short for some people. Like if I could spend more time on each reading, maybe I would say things in a different way so that it would help another person on the same issue that couldn't hear it this other way that I said it. But I've had to kind of understand that, like, sometimes it's not going to be like that, because if I extensively try to get every like possibility covered in one reading, it might actually detract from others that need to have the message in a concise manner because their attention span isn't that long, or they just don't have the time in their day. So maybe has given me the understanding that I need to trust that the appropriate people will be drawn to the appropriate reading, and that the way I've said it in that reading, even if there is another way to say it, is the right way for the people who are drawn to it in that reading, And sometimes, what I'm going to say to somebody will be the thing that will make them go in another direction. And if that's what happens, then that is what's meant to happen. It's going to be okay, because like the tool isn't for everybody, and those who can utilize it will. And I don't have to get so like perfectionistic about the process and stuff. So it's teaching me a little bit to more relax about the messages that I'm giving. And then I did encounter a bit of, this, I guess, guilt about that. And then, I got to look at that and go, okay, well, it's kind of an unrealistic expectation that I had of myself that I had to let go. So other than that, the messages, sometimes I'll feel like what we're talking about is something that we've touched on in another reading. And sometimes I'll feel like it's an evolution of something that we've talked about in another reading. Some of the readings have touched on things that I haven't experienced firsthand, but I experienced being on the other end of sometimes. And that has been interesting for me, because I've felt like, am I really the qualified one to give advice on this? Because I didn't experience it firsthand, I experienced it secondhand. And then again, I have to trust that this message was given to me. This energy is something that I understand from my angle, and my angle must be helpful for this person. So I will share it, and it doesn't. So I think it's important to understand that, like, that all of these readings, they're not exhaustive, right? They're not going to cover every angle, every thought, everything on the topic. It's meant to be helpful. And so if it can be used for, the next step, then I think that's a good use of it. So for the most part, I do enjoy doing it. And I have made some business cards regarding the free self-help tool, and I worded it in a way where I thought some people who might not, utilize pick a card readings online on a regular basis might open themselves to using this tool by offering it as a way to break yourself out of habits. And that's kind of interesting in a way for me to like open myself locally for people to understand and know what I'm doing here. Because where I'm online, it's like I could get lost in a sea of others who are doing similar things, right? And even though I am using it in a more unique way, others, people who are utilizing those type of readings online might find it and understand it and be more apt to use it. But then here I am trying to poke it into another sphere of people. We'll see how that goes. Plus, there are people that could actually know me, who could actually like find out things about me, locally. We'll see how that goes. It's not scary. It's just like interesting to wonder, what what that would be like, because I know that the thing that I do can be kind of confusing to others. So in a way, this process of doing these series is challenging me as well, in ways that I didn't even understand could be a challenge. I've been using a lot of the same decks from day to day, and I'm starting to feel like I might want to write myself some new spreads and maybe use some different decks. So we might do that coming up. I've tried a different couple different ways, and one was showing the cards and one is not showing the cards. And I don't mind doing the showing the cards. In fact, I think it could be helpful for other people. But I think it does make the reading longer and more drawn out. And sometimes I get the sense that people are kind of like, can we just get to the point? Can you just tell me what the message is? So I'm just kind of feeling my way through on when I feel it's appropriate to show the cards and when not. Today's readings are going to be about relationships in our lives. So I have no idea. I haven't looked at the cards. I've dealt them all out, and there's quite a stack for each pile. But I'm hoping for, really clear messages. Because it's okay when I have to reach for it. It's okay when it's hard to pull it out. But it's also really feels nice when it just comes easy and I understand and I can get in that flow space without a lot of I don't know, let's pull some more cards. What's this mean? you know? So we'll see how it goes today. If you've been enjoying this series, let me know what you think about it, and if you want to weigh in on which process you prefer, if you like to see the cards or if it's more important to just get to the message. I'd like to know some feedback on that. And if the reason is because maybe I can get more serious about dividing those parts of the reading up so that you can have a timestamp for it. Another thing I notice is that sometimes my timestamps aren't showing up, even though they're put in correctly. So I don't know what that's about. I really just don't know what that's about. Uh, that's like must be a YouTube thing because I've used the appropriate function. It's a little bit frustrating, but also like since I can't control it, I'm just gonna, surrender. All right, so that's all I have to say about the series. Feel free to share your thoughts as well.